All right. What's up, y'all? Let's get everybody in here. Yay, we are back. Tuku Nagala was in here earlier, so appreciate you for dropping by, man. There's a lot of news this week. A lot of news trickling in each day. It's awesome. We're gonna hit a couple different topics here today, but for those who don't know, Ask 3-Bit is just a show where it's just a chill thing. You guys get to talk with me, I get to talk with you. Apologies, this show was supposed to happen on Wednesday and a couple other days, but I've been pretty busy at work, didn't really have the energy to, etc., but have the time today. I will be doing this show, and then for those who are interested, I'll be hopping on Xbox Ultimate on the Fun Speculation channel later on in the show. That'll be after this. So for this show is supposed to be chill. You guys can ask me questions outside the podcast I'm usually on. There's a lot of topics I don't have time to clarify certain statements. Being on a huge panel can do that sometimes, but love being on those shows. It made a lot of good friends on a lot of these different shows, and they are all amazing. So appreciate everybody who's in here checking me out. There's big news this week, quite a bit. What's up, Timmy? Again, people in here will be on the Xbox Ultimate later on, so this is like the pre-show if you're interested, and then you can go ahead for like the Super Bowl. A lot of big news this week. We got ABK China approving the deal, which we will get into. You had Mortal Kombat being announced. You had the Halo Season 4 details. It was either being leaked or it's been officially announced. I'm not sure. I think maybe it was leaked, which we will definitely talk about. A lot of interesting things in there as well. And then you have the PlayStation Showcase. You have the Microsoft Showcase. What's interesting to me about the PlayStation Showcase is they haven't had one, like an official one, for like 2 years now. So I'm expecting a lot. I'm expecting big things from both showcases. I can't fully go into the Microsoft one. I'll just sort of I'll have like a picture up of the Microsoft showcase, and then I'll kind of just say what I'll try my best. So first let's sort of let's jump into the CMA blocking the deal. We've seen the memes, right? We've seen this meme. Oh, my thing is like way down there. This sort of means like, am I out of touch? Like, no, it's all of them being wrong. I just find this funny, just because it's kind of true. Let me actually put it on this screen so you guys can see it. Give me a second. There you go. Boop. This is a funny meme to me. Just because it's kind of true. You have CMA, and I get your jurisdiction is going to not necessarily let others, like your laws, your market is different from other markets. But at the same time, like, bruh, you realize there's 38 different countries who's approved the deal, and you're going to be the only one, essentially, besides the US FTC, which will eventually pass because of how the laws work here. It's probably going to go through preliminary injunction, etc., go through courts. Courts will realize the facts are not on the side of the FTC, so that's why not a lot of people are worried about the FTC. They are worried about the CMA. Microsoft does have, I think people forget how much money is on the line for a lot of people. $70 billion, right? Money speaks. And Microsoft is going to do what they can. They have some of the best lawyers in the world. I believe they're using the Queen's lawyer for the appeal to the CAT process. They are using the same lawyer who the Queen to do the appeal to the CMA process through CAT. We talked about this on Xbox, on FSP Monday, the Fun Speculation podcast. We talked about essentially the process going through CAT and what happens. From what I understand, the process is for the appeal. It can have two different things that happens during the appeal process. You can either the CAT looks at the case and they're like, you have some inconsistencies here, CMA, which is not even that crazy to think because they've made some mathematical errors that they've had to correct. Microsoft will probably bring that up actually in the appeal process. Like, they've made some mathematical errors here and there. They are using their main argument is basically saying that every Game Pass user is a cloud user. Not to mention, someone brought this up too, the fact that while they're going through all this like annoying headache, Microsoft, you have Amazon sort of sweep in and be like, haha, we got 18 million cloud people, which is very comparable to Game Pass. You've had Amazon to sort of come in, not deal with any of this nonsense with the cloud. And then you've also have sort of like PlayStation in the background. It's like, we're also cloud, but we're going to do what we want, you know. This is understandable because there's a lot of... It's not really understandable. If I'm being honest, the cloud is too it's too early of it's still in its inception. Is not necessarily going to be proven whether it be successful or not. There are things in the cloud, in my opinion, that I do think is super impressive, and it is the future. That is mostly the development side of the cloud, where you can use the cloud to alleviate resources within games. For example, if you are having crazy amounts of destruction in a video game, right now you have, let's say you have explosions, you have fire effects, you have simulated buildings falling apart, etc., based on where you shot the building. All that uses your GPU, it uses your CPU. Imagine, but you have to sort of limit that. That's why, like, when you shoot a building in, like, Battlefield, for example, over time the rubble will, like, slowly disappear or get smaller or do something like that, because keeping it on the screen for a long time, it takes up resources. So when you're shooting a building in Battlefield, that rubble, all that explosions and stuff, it has to dim over time. But imagine if instead you're using the GPU and CPU, you use the cloud instead. That's where I see the cloud being super impressive. That's where I see the future of technology, where instead of putting all this power in a GPU, CPU, trying to figure out how to get that working or making things look beautiful but actually usable. That's the thing. Right now, you can make a lot of things look beautiful outside of the engine. or just it's inside the engine, but essentially you can make things look really beautiful, but then you have to optimize it to make sure it is it's usable. So also, yeah, AJH. The finals is another example, but imagine in a world where you can have as much destruction as you want and it doesn't use any resources. That's where I see the cloud is headed to using. That's where I see the developers eventually using the cloud. But everything about the cloud is still really early in its infancy, which is why it's so dumb to me that the CMA is using it as a reason to block. You've admitted a lot of things about this deal, like that Xbox having the games be exclusive wouldn't necessarily harm the console market. So how would the cloud harm the console market if if it's only 1% of the market? It's 1-3% of the market. So you're blocking probabilities at that point. You're blocking things that you think might eventually happen. You think like oh well, in the future, 5 to 10 years, Microsoft could have a third foothold, which to me is not the best way of looking at things. I do have these two things. Let me pull up a few things. One sec. These two articles. Where's my? Oh, here it is. Okay. So there's two articles or two things from. It's like what the cat's response could be, and I'll read it really quick. It says, intervention may well be necessary and must occur when statutory tests are met, but equally intervening where it is unnecessary, where the statutory tests may not be met, can be as damaging. In this case, for instance, the outcome of the decision is an interference in a merger situation. Let's bring this up a little bit. In a merger situation that is largely taking place outside the jurisdiction, we are in no doubt that there is jurisdiction for the CMA to intervene in this case, but the demands of the committee do require the CMA to be at least conscious of the international dimension. Although we were not addressed on this in any detail, you understand that that such considerations do pertain. They're basically, this is the cat. They're basically warning like to take into consideration other regulatory bodies, right? That's basically what this is saying, because there are 38 other countries that have approved this deal, and it looks pretty bad to be the only commission to block it. So they're saying to please take into consideration other committees, other international dimensions is kind of what they're saying. So this is the next part. The demands of committee require the CMA to consider the international dimension carefully. Right? It's basically saying like, look, brah, look at other regulatory bodies and consider that in your decision to block this deal. I'm just translating. Particularly given that the merger situation is taking place outside of the jurisdiction and the UK accounts for only X amount of Call of Duty revenues and X amount of global COD monthly active users. Like, bro, that's what I just said. Like, the market, it does, to me, it doesn't make any sense for them to block. They literally just blocked it for what? I don't know why they blocked it. You can't say it's the cloud when the cloud is still in its infancy. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, people ask my opinion on it. It's too early It's like blocking. I don't even have an example. It's a brand new market. It's not proven yet, so you're blocking something before it happens. There's a reason why people are saying like the UK is closed for business. So how are you going to block a new technology? Not necessarily new. It's been around for a while. But how are you going to block something that it's still developing? I don't know. It's insane. AGH 3-bit. The finals destruction is overloaded to the cloud. Oh yeah, okay. So they're starting to do it already. That's where I see a lot of developers starting to do, because there are certain methods of rendering in a video game that is just graphic intensive. Right now, the most graphic intensive thing is like ray tracing. Imagine if they were able to just get the most intensive thing out of video games, like ray tracing, and make it so it doesn't run on the console anymore. So that's where I see technology is definitely heading. So that's essentially my opinion on the CMA situation. Honestly, it's looking bad for the CMA at this point. You have 38 other countries approving the deal, including one that's pretty much right near you, right? Then you have, on top of that, not only do you have 38 countries, with more to come, I believe South Korea, South Africa is next. You guys could correct me if you want. So you have 38 other countries approving the deal, besides you. Then you have the appeal process saying to take into consideration other jurisdictions. Right? They're kind of warning you before it even gets to the appeal process. Like, bro, look at all these other people. Make sure that you're taking into account other places before you make your final decision. I just feel like it's all politics at this point. It has nothing to do with whether or not it's good or bad. I feel like that the CMA, the way they first responded, it was like they expected different. They expected the EU to block it as well, so that way it can justify their decision. And not only that, the fact that there was posts on, I believe it was LinkedIn. I'll have to find it. There's different posts that they posted about the FTC, and they've been erasing posts mentioning that weeks before they visited or had a meeting with the FTC. They've been blocking or erasing mentions of that meeting. To me, just shows how, like, it's pretty messed up. AJH says, I'm all for scrutiny of the CMA. Their decisions idiotic, but the nonsensical BS targeted at the UK is idiotic. Pull out of the UK. They're a tiny part of the market when they are a large chunk. 11% of ABK's revenue is from the UK, with 21% of their overseas revenue coming from the UK, just for an ABK instance. I mean, I agree. They are a pretty large part of the market, which is why in the deal with Microsoft and ABK, it was 4 places that had to pass, which is why it's a big deal if it doesn't. CMA had to pass, EU had to pass, US FTC has to pass, and then the last one was China, which just passed. Those are the main 4 that had to pass in their contracts. When Microsoft sat on the table with ABK, they were like, listen, it makes sense for us to do this deal for sure, but here are the 4 jurisdictions, 4 countries that needs to pass, because it would make sense for us revenue-wise. However, Microsoft is going to do what they need to do to get this deal passed. If it's all politics at this point, where they are not going to pass the deal despite whether or not it makes sense for everyone involved, they are going to possibly pull out that market if they need to. And ABK, they're getting $70 billion. They will do what they need to do to get that money. So if they need to pull out of the UK, I don't see why they wouldn't. As a last resort, of course they're going to try. And here's the thing: I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what. I don't know if they could renegotiate that contract somehow, or if they could just be like, we're just not going to provide games. I don't know in that contract if it said within these 4 jurisdictions they have to 100% pass, or I don't know what the wording was in those contracts, if that makes sense. If the wording was 100%, these 4 jurisdictions has to pass by the CMA, by China, it has to pass, or else this deal won't go through. If that was like the wording in that, then yes, they absolutely need to keep negotiating with the CMA. Or if it was like more language like, we would like for it to pass in these 4 jurisdictions, but if it doesn't pass in one, then maybe we can do something. Like, I haven't read those papers, neither has anyone else here. But if the language was a little bit lighter, I could see them pulling that nuclear option and just being like, bro, yes, like you said, 11% of ABK's revenue is from the UK. Yes, but the EU itself has more of a market than the UK. So they're not completely losing out there. And also, again, they're going to do what they need to do to get this deal passed. So there's no sense for them to cancel the deal when it's been approved in 37 other countries, or 38 now. Sure, that's a big chunk of their market, but 38 countries is also a bigger chunk of their market than one, so I'm sure they're going to look at it like that. My point is, from this is from the cat. That's what people need to realize. The cat is basically warning them right here. They're basically saying, look, bro, you guys should consider everything, right? The demands of the committee require the CMA to consider the international dimension carefully. When they say the international dimension, they're talking about, when they say the international dimension, they are talking about other jurisdictions. They're talking about other regulatory bodies. They're talking about China. They're talking about the FTC. Take all of that into consideration within your decision. CMA doesn't seem to be doing that. They just seem like, well, according to they said this in the courtroom, according to our individual researchers, essentially, this is what this is the decision we came to based on our internal research, based on the people we've hired, our individual researchers. We come to the conclusion that this deal is going to harm competition, which is, to me, it's really dumb, because you have all these big companies like Take-Two came out today, is like, this deal will be great. When they had that board meeting with all the companies there, it was EA, it was Ubisoft, it was Nintendo was there. There's a reason why they're not appealing the deal, right? They want to make similar deals in the future. And when you add in regulatory bodies as regulations, like, no, you can't have this happen, that in itself harms competition, harms future deals from happening like this. Which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But the reason why Take-Two, EA, all these other companies, Nintendo, didn't want to say anything is because they want to do something in the future. They want to be able to buy a company for however many $1 billion and not be scrutinized by regulatory bodies. But that's why they were like, in my eyes, they were telling Sony, shut up. Shut up, Sony, because you are blabbering your mouth like, they're going to harm us. They're taking away Call of Duty. We can't survive without Call of Duty. They're saying all this stuff, which makes regulatory bodies look into it even further. And now we're at a stage where most future video game purchases are probably going to be looked at even further. The first time I've seen that happening where the government did step in for a video game was actually Mortal Kombat, which we will get into if we have time. Mortal Kombat was the very first game to get a rating, an ESRB rating. It was the reason why they created the ESRB in the first place, because of how violent Mortal Kombat was. And parents are like, how do you go from Mario, where you're just jumping on mushrooms, to ripping out a guy's spine? There has to be some bridge of like, when I'm picking up this game, I need to know what I'm giving to my kid, you know. So that's when they were like, basically created the ESRB rating system. That was the first time, or the last time I remember, where the government really stepped in and got involved. But again, Sony whining really made it so now the spotlight is on this industry. But yeah, there was a reason why all these big companies didn't want to really get involved. They were like, yes, sure, let the deal pass. You know, let this deal pass, because they want to make similar deals. And when you have regulatory bodies basically starting to block it, it makes it harder. Which is it's funny, because they say like UK is not closed for business, but by doing this, it actually makes other companies look at what's happening and be like, maybe we should make a deal in the UK. It does the opposite of what they're trying to achieve. They don't want they want more companies to come to the UK. This doesn't help, essentially. AJH, you say, and look at Mortal Kombat, and the gore is next level. Yep. Yeah, Mortal Kombat still to this day, like, not a lot of games are striving for gore and stuff. In fact, a lot of games are starting to like dumb it down so it's more accessible to a larger audience. I am glad though in Jedi, I always want to say Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, I had a whole post about this, and then people was basically like, don't you mean Survivor? And I'm like, yes. You can cut off the limbs of the stormtroopers, which is awesome. Let's catch up on some of the chat. So, what are you guys talking about? Agreed, but you're talking in combination, didn't it? Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Decado says they had warned them before about international meddling. Oh, you're talking about the cat? Yeah, I believe the cat warned the CMA before, during the Meta case. I'm pretty sure that was the last time they're like, they warned them. And was that the same case where the CMA was overruled. I'll have to look into that. Look into that some more. Big Matt Mo, I think KI is number 1, followed by Mortal Kombat, then Marvel vs. Capcom 2. In my opinion, I want to really like a game like Street Fighter and stuff, especially now that they're doing like the NBA 2K thing. You can run around with your fighter and do missions. That actually is really appealing to me, honestly. I love stories and stuff in fighting games, even though it's always been trash. Historically, it's been trash. You play a fighting game, the story is like second. It's usually not very good. It's pretty decent in other mediums, like the Street Fighter anime. It's pretty dope. You had there was like a Mortal Kombat machinima show that was actually pretty good. Outside of the medium, it's pretty good. But I've always liked, I don't know, just playing Dead or Alive, and then playing through the story mode or playing whatever little journey thing they have. So with Street Fighter, I am looking forward to that mode. However, there's just something really appealing about Mortal Kombat, like how gruesome it is. Where other fighting games like Tekken, when you punch somebody in Tekken, what happens? Blood doesn't come out. There's little sparkles, which is fun. It does feel pretty good when you're fighting in Tekken. But sometimes there's just something nice about when you punch somebody in Mortal Kombat. You start seeing bruises over time. They really did that with. They started that in 9, and they kind of dumbed it down in 10 and 11. They should really bring that back. When you're like punching somebody over time, their clothes starts like getting ripped, and if you keep punching someone in the face, you start seeing the bruise where you punch them. It's freaking dope. So there's just something about the appeal of Mortal Kombat, the gruesomeness, that I love over any other fighting game. So for me, Big Mad Mo, Mortal Kombat all the way. And then right under that, and sometimes even matching that, is Dead or Alive. I love the way Dead or Alive feels with certain characters. We actually did a Dead or Alive tournament a couple years ago, and it was really fun. There's just something where it's just so easy to get into a character and learn how to parry and stuff. It's like simple controls, but it can get very complex with how you use them, and I love that. Because fighting games already have too much going on sometimes. You go up, down, left, right. Sometimes that's a little too much, especially the older I get. My reflexes, they're not what they used to be. AJH, I've been wondering just this. I've heard people say, why isn't Diablo being advertised as much as Spider-Man or Hogwarts? Could it be a watershed thing? Diablo's it's being advertised. I think there's I don't know. There's every game has a different marketing strategy. They market towards their audience, essentially. You had Diablo have the Server Slam trailers and stuff, and people was talking about that, and then Server Slam was being recommended to people. I actually work in marketing, and something we consider is the product. What is the product, essentially? Because if I put, not saying Diablo isn't big, I know Diablo is a huge game towards people, but it's not as big as a character like Spider-Man. I put Spider-Man on a billboard, people are gonna know who Spider-Man is, right? If I put a Diablo billboard this up in Times Square or something, people are gonna look at it, and some people who are not gamers are gonna be like, oh, I wonder what that is. You know, and that may cause conversation, etc., etc. Or, you know, it may. I don't know. There's different marketing strategies for different games. Essentially, is all it is. And the marketing budget for games are different. So for Hogwarts, maybe it's a little bit lesser. So they're like, okay, let's have our marketing strategy be, let's focus on marketing our stuff through ads, through smaller trailers that release online, as opposed to Spider-Man, which is so big that Disney is probably going to be involved and be like, hey, we want to make sure our brand is being treated with respect, etc. So you may see billboards of something like Spider-Man. You may see it on different Coke bottles, etc., etc. Every game is different. You never know. I will say, Sony is really good at advertising and marketing. They make things look premium and like, oh, you know, they make things look pretty good, essentially. Decado says Apple was the case. I think they were overruled recently, followed by the sports company. Sony's advertising on D4 is still deceptive. I'm guessing you're saying Diablo 4. The way they do it, luckily Microsoft paid for advertising and has been doing it longer. And Big Man Mo says Diablo is on TV though. Yeah, I'm saying, like, I'm not saying it's not going to be on TV. I'm just saying, like, I'm responding to what you're saying. You're saying, who said that Diablo kind of sucks? AJ says Diablo isn't being advertised as much. So, is Diablo probably going to be on TV? Yes, right. But every game has just a different marketing budget. So you're probably going to see Spider-Man more than a Diablo. So maybe they are doing a killer job on their marketing. I don't know. I've seen Diablo ads on YouTube. I've seen I think that's it. I've seen ads on YouTube, and I've seen I haven't seen Diablo on TV, but I'm sure it is on TV. Decado says you put Diablo on a billboard, it will probably get protested for devil stuff. Yeah, but isn't horror movies always on billboards and stuff? I guess. I don't know. I feel like they could get away with it. They could, people, if it does get protested, that's just better for the marketing. Honestly. Whenever you have something where it's like, this is the devil and stuff, and people are protesting it, it just brings more attention. It brings more attention to it, then more people end up playing it, probably. It does the opposite 100% of the time when people do stuff like that. That's why one of the reasons why Mortal Kombat was big for a while, or Grand Theft Auto. A lot of parents protested Grand Theft Auto. A lot of regulators always use they use Mortal Kombat and Grand Theft Auto as something for school shootings and stuff like that, and 100% of the time it's free advertising. What's up, Wilfrey? Rosario, Decado, Talos. Thanks for dropping by, man. Everybody that's in here, make sure you appreciate you guys for dropping by. I know it's random. It's supposed to be a Wednesday show, but I was my week has been insane. I do want to talk to the rumors, essentially. I can't fully go into the showcase. Here's the thing. Just an update. I am not working on the Xbox showcase. Not working on it. However, because I was in a meeting with him, I do know the people who are working on it. It's some of my friends are working on it. They are going to kill it. So trust them 100%. I do know some of the things that are coming to the showcase. So I'm gonna be very careful. Have you seen Mav's leaked list, top tier list? I haven't. What was his? Did he just post it? Let's see. Well, or was it on his show? I don't know if he posted it or if it was on his show. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, let me actually pull. I'll pull it up on the stream. Oh yeah. This is funny. All right, here you go. Let me pull this up so you guys can see it. That's funny. This is Mav's leaked list for the Xbox showcase. So, can we just always talk about how Mav always uses Notepad? I use Notepad. I guess I can't get on him for that. He says he put a lot of effort into it. For one thing, I will say is what's over here. One thing I will say, he's put some effort into this list. No insider information. No insider information. I mean, I have insider information, but I will not be giving it on this day. Transformers Gen 1 exclusive. Thundercats exclusive. A Thundercats game would be sick. I feel like that would be what Suicide Squad's trying to kind of be. Like that for sort of like squad type game. That'd be kind of cool. Ninja Turtles Rocksteady. Rocksteady, I still have faith in them, but bro, you guys made some of the best superhero games of all time, and you telling me Suicide Squad was the move? Anyways, GTA 6 exclusive. You know what's funny? I know this list is fake, whatever, but Rockstar used to have a really good relationship with Microsoft to the point where they had like Big Ballad of Gay Tony be exclusive on the 360 for a while. I wonder if one day that will come to pass based on his Take-Two's comments about the ABK deal, like saying, hey, let it go through, it's fine. This list is really funny though. Red Dead Redemption 2 4K 16 next gen. It's like a wish list of stuff I would love to happen, by the way. I would love to see a Red Dead update. Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat exclusive. Everything is exclusive. Mech Assault exclusive. Splinter Cell Remake exclusive. Pony Tamer exclusive. Oh, I would buy that one. Final Fantasy exclusive. Perfect Dark exclusive. Avowed. Yep. You know what? This would be a great show. But what I find funny is he has Pony Tamer, right? He has Pony Tamer in here, exclusive. But then he has Pony Tamer 2. So, are they going to announce 1 and 2? Is that what's happening? They're going to develop the first game and then immediately announce the second? Is that what's happening? You got the Gears of War Phoenix Collection, Gears of War 6. This is fake. Indiana Jones, X-Men, Xbox Podcast Simulator. Ooh. A podcast simulator would be a fun game. Why isn't that a thing? They should do something like that. Okay. All right, Mav, you're on something. Mav is on. Thank you for bringing up that list, y'all. Fuzzy, hello. All right, so I actually do have a fish list. Ooh, I will get into this in a second. There is a reason why I have this up, but that's spoilers. It's spoilers. You guys don't get to see that yet. Is it this? I have a list. I also have a list that I'm going to bring up. So, first let's bring this one up. This was the list that is also, it's fake. But let's talk about it. It has a decent amount of games that I think will be there. So I kind of want to hear from you guys too. From this list, it's so hard to point opposite. Okay, this way. This way. There you go. From this list, which games do you guys think will be there? So you got Last of Us Factions, you have Twisted Metal, Pragmata, Resident Evil 4, VR, Snake Eater. There's a lot of rumors about the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Which I'm really excited for. I love, if it is real, I love all Metal Gears. It's a big fan of the franchise. So if they do that's pretty cool. You got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I've already explained this to people, but for those who don't know, those who are watching, know that I'm never buying another Square Enix game ever again. So it doesn't really do anything for me. Disney Domination. Is that what that says? What the heck is that? Disney Domination. Astro's Conquest. I did also really like Astro's Playroom, so if that's like a sequel to that. But didn't that studio close down? Astro's Team Asobi. We'll look that up. Team Asobi. Yep, that's what I thought. It's funny. You have a lot of developers on Sony's side that are shutting down, closing down, firing people, firing half the staff. But it's fine when they do it. On the Xbox side, it's mismanagement. You know, it is what it is. Half-Life Alyx, Valve. Half-Life Alyx needs to be on the VR for me to even consider getting a VR headset. Like, your headset is the price of the console. I would need better incentive, some good games on there. Alyx is one of the best VR games. There's a couple on the PC that are pretty good as well, but Alyx is would incentivize me and I'm sure others to even jump into the VR space. So we'll see. Death Stranding 2. Yep, it's pretty good. Enjoyed the first one. I did not beat it. It is a chill game though. I like chill games where, well, it's chill sometimes. Sometimes it could go from 0 to 100 real quick. But what I like about Death Stranding is it's like FedEx. Your FedEx simulator. You're just carrying some boxes, going up a hill, going down a hill. You're just chilling. You know, you're just chilling. Hades 2. They announced Hades 2, right? Or I'm pretty sure they announced that game. Hades 2. Okay, yeah, set to launch in early access in 2023. I remember seeing that at one of the shows. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, looking forward to Hades 2. That game though is very frustrating. I love those dungeon type games, but Hades, it's like, as I got to the very end of Hades and died, and I never played it again. It was just like, it's just something about the progression in that game where it frustrates the heck out of me. But I my favorite type of rogue-like games is Cells. What's it called? Cell something. Great game. Talos, let's read some of the chat. As soon as Xbox does it, oh no, it's all over. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of Sony studios that are... Here's my problem with some of Sony's situation. You have a lot of studios focusing on a couple things right now. A lot of studios are focusing on these games, basically like Last of Us, right? You have these third-party action adventure games, etc., etc. Awesome, right? It's good to have that as a checkmark list. They kill it. They do absolutely incredible with their third-person action adventure games. But Sony has a plethora of IP that's basically just gone because it's not as marketable anymore. And they have really pertained towards their strengths like that. And everything else has sort of just been gone to the wayside. Example, Killzone, Resistance, those games, gone. You've had other IPs like Jak and Daxter or Twisted Metal or Siphon Filter or SOCOM. These are games that other people loved, and they're different from your Last of Us's, your Uncharted, your Spider-Mans. They're like, I don't know. There's like a pretty good diversity in their older IPs. Like their genres is amazing. They've had so many different IPs in the past, and what they have done now is really focus in on these experiences which people love. So I don't see them changing that in near future. But what I feel like it's created a problem because they have one first party game coming out this year and the rest they're just relying on third party. We'll see in the showcase if they do have something for this year besides Spider-Man. But it just like I just feel like they're focusing on the same sort of games over and over rather than revisit some of these older games. You've even had something like God of War. The older God of War was way different than what the new one is, right? They kind of changed the experience to match what they're making now for their other games. Like the older God of War was very different than what it is now. It's a lot more cinematic now. The camera is like now lower. The puzzles are different. It's more story oriented, which is good for some people. I love God of War, the new one and the old one. I'm just acknowledging in general what's happening. Decado, Supergiant, like the bag from Microsoft. I highly doubt they'll get in a situation where they can't get it again. Yeah, they did pretty well on Xbox as far as I remember. Talos says, I would like to see at the PlayStation Showcase a Resistance collection or God of War collection. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I really would like for them to utilize the IPs that they have. If this showcase shows that, then dope. Rather than, I don't want to see I just want to see some of their old stuff, like Twisted Metal, or show me something of a different genre, essentially. Okay. Some other ones. Darkest Dungeon 2. Goodbye Volcano High. This has been announced a while ago. Has it come out? Volcano High? I remember seeing that in like 2 showcases ago. Goodbye Volcano High. Oh, it did come out. Did it? Release date. Okay. I don't think it's out. Anyways. Yeah, that game's not out yet. SOCOM announcement would be nice, Decado said. Yeah. That's my thing. I also have the same problem with Microsoft. Believe it or not, Microsoft has 23 plus studios now, and a lot of those studios own IP to games that I feel like they should be looking at, like Banjo Kazooie and all this other stuff. You have like people like Colt Eastwood saying like, I don't think they should revisit. I want to see new games. Why not both? They're already doing new games. I want to see them celebrate the IP that they have. That's literally Nintendo's mission. They literally have built their whole identity on nostalgia and old IP and reusing the IP in different ways. You have Mario. First, you had Super Mario, right? But then, they keep reusing Mario in different ways. You have like Mario Galaxy, you have Mario Tennis, you have Mario Kart. They've found a way to use that IP and keep spinning it in different ways to sort of celebrate that IP. Of course, Zelda has been reused in so many different ways. I just think Microsoft could look at that and really look at all the IPs that they have. Do something to remind people that they own those IPs, which is why I was like, they should have their version of a Smash Bros. Because they own so many characters now. You could have Senua fighting Master Chief, fighting Doomslayer on a Forza map where cars are going and you have to dodge the cars. You could have Battletoads fighting Conquer. You could have what other IPs that they got? You could have the girl from Perfect Dark, in there. It's just they own so many IPs. You have Sea of Thieves, like a Sea of Thieves Steam map, and have like Marcus Phoenix jumping in. They just own so much, and I feel like you could really remind people of that some way. So while I am criticizing Sony for that, I'm also like, I think Microsoft also could celebrate their old IPs. But the reason why I don't have as big of a problem with Microsoft doing it is because there's already a pretty diverse set of games for Xbox from first party, by the way, that is coming out. You got racing games, you got RPG games. It's a pretty already well-versed genre of games coming out. Kato, I imagine Toys for Bob would love the Rare catalog. Yeah, that would be a great studio to actually handle that. And now, ABK deal goes through. You have even more IPs. You could have Battletoads and Crash Bandicoot. Fighting Spyro. That's a lot of IPs to just let sit. And let the studios do what they want. And I've actually talked about this, about Xbox mismanaging studios, right? My belief, so I've worked for Microsoft. I think a lot of people know this, right? And I've also worked for Ubisoft. My experience from working for other gaming studios to Microsoft was eye-opening. Microsoft was very organized. The way they worked with teams was incredible. It was eye-opening comparing my experience to other companies. When people see some of these games that are not yet released, I don't think they would have as big of a problem with Xbox as they do now. And that's me. I've been very critical of Xbox, right? That being said, there are a lot of very impressive games coming up the line. And in terms of mismanaging, this is the problem I believe Xbox has. In the past, I know AGH. In the past, Microsoft, you guys could watch the Xbox documentary. It's actually very eye-opening to how they handle studios now. In the past, Xbox dealt with the problem of over-managing their studios. Lion's Head was a perfect example. Lion's Head wanted to create Fable a certain way. They couldn't. Microsoft really wanted to push the Kinect at the time. So they were like, hey, add this Kinect feature, add multiplayer, they were telling them what to do because Fable was a great IP for Microsoft. But they just kept hammering what they want, what Xbox wants at the time, which was Kinect. They wanted to push Kinect, telling them what to do. Not only Lion's Head, but they also did the same thing with Rare. They were telling Rare, a studio known for Banjo-Kazooie and all these amazing games, we want you to just make Kinect Animals, and some other Kinect games at the time. So 2 studios at the time, they were telling them, like, scrap everything you're working on. You're doing what we want you to do, right? This is the past Microsoft. And what happened? Kinect wasn't as successful during Xbox One. People pretty much said, like, screw Xbox One, you guys are focused on TV, and Kinect. We don't care about that. We just want games. Lion's Head shut down, etc., etc. So, fast forwarding to modern day Xbox. Phil has the philosophy to let the studios be themselves. Because what you have is, when a studio's doing its own thing, it figures out its DNA. It figures out how we need to structure a story of a game, level design, etc., etc. Right? So that was a lesson learned by Xbox. They're like, okay, we way overmanaged them in the past. Now they've run into the problem where I feel like they're too lenient, right? You're letting the studio be what they are or what they should be, but with Redfall situation, there's no reason why you shouldn't have known certain things, right? But I will say they definitely do pay attention to certain studios more than the other. I think Phil even admitted in the interview, you just assume they made hits in the past. Why would we really over check them? But that's something you need to do, and that's something they definitely need to fix for the future. Like yes, this studio has made 20 Game of the Year stuff in the past, but go ahead and check anyways. Do the check-ins with them. It's like a balance thing that they need to figure out, of not over managing your studio, but also not letting them slack either. So I feel like whereas Fable Legends was a lesson for them, I feel like Redfall can also be that lesson to not mismanage them as well. Decado says, 3-bit, is that because the sweeping changes that they have done over the last 10 years? I figured it was going to take a long time for things to work the kinks out. Maybe when I worked at Microsoft, it felt very managed. We've talked with Microsoft. Yeah, there's not much I could say without but I've had a great experience working over there, and I feel like they're gonna definitely kill it. And it could be because of the changes over time. I feel like with each game, that they're releasing with the studios that they own, they are definitely learning with each game release. So by the time they release, let's say it's just like 5 to 6 games, they will have a pattern or a guideline for how they should release games going forward. AJH says, I feel like the pendulum has flipped too far the other way with Microsoft now, though. There needs to be some middle ground. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was saying. Like, you can't overmanage a studio, but you can't mismanage them either. And I feel like with Rare, in my opinion, Sea of Thieves is amazing. But I feel like you should force Rare in a way to make some games, because they don't know what the heck they're doing with Everwild. It feels like they don't even know what Everwild is. So I feel like, yes, you can make the studio have their own DNA. I don't know. I feel like certain studios should be forced. That's just me though. Like Rare has way too much IP to just let them just do a Sea of Thieves. AJH says, honestly, Fable Legends played so damn well, and the art style was great. Just they picked a terrible genre instead of letting Lionhead tell a great story like they have in past. Exactly. Yeah, it's hard. You know, I feel like there's a way to do it in a positive way. I feel like what Sony is kind of doing is they are very much managing their studios and telling them what they should make and shouldn't make. So we'll see. We will see. Mikado, milestones is full constructive criticism needs to happen on some level. I agree with AJ's. Yeah. Eric, what's you? You have people grilling me about the showcase for Xbox. Why don't you tell them what's gonna happen? For those who don't know, Eric, he works at Bethesda. Good to see you, man. Thanks for dropping in the chat. Big Matt Mo, I have Austin. If you can answer, I have Austin. If you can answer, great. If not, that's fine. What does that mean? Are you talking about Arcane or Bethesda? Or are the teams utilizing the hardware to its greatest capabilities? Talking about Xbox? Can you like phrase the question like towards like are you talking about teams in general at Xbox or specifically? Because I think Arcane Austin did not utilize the hardware fully, like obviously, right? You see, but I think that comes down to them using a newer engine. That was the first time they used the Unreal Engine, and instead of using Unreal Engine 5, they used 4. And then instead of using what it's called LODs, like in Unreal Engine 5, you don't really need LODs, which means level of details, because a lot of that is eliminated with how Unreal Engine 5 handles materials, textures, and the model itself, the polygons. So when you're playing in Redfall, you see objects just randomly pop in. It goes from one model to another. So you could tell they didn't have enough development time, because you see a tree that looks super pixelated, whatever. And usually what a developer will do is create like 3 versions of that tree, so that the closer you get to it, it's a smooth transition from where your character is to you getting really close to it. So you get the highest LOD next to when you're close to the tree, and the further you get away from it, it uses less and less resources. When you play Redfall, you could tell there's just 2 models, the really blurry one and then the clear one. So I just feel like they ran out of time. I also think they didn't they're not completely comfortable with that engine. I think they are going to go back and use their older engine for future games. Insanecakes. Oh no, yeah, it should be good. I don't know anything that's going to be announced. Yeah. Yes, it Xbox. It was supposed to say question, not Austin. Oh, so you say I have a question. If you can answer, great. Oh, okay. I think other teams are definitely going to utilize the resources, and I'll just leave it at that. I think there are other teams that are way more worried about utilizing the full power of the system than other teams. It's like that's kind of clear without me like getting into confidentiality stuff. Like Coalition, for example, there's a reason why Epic comes to the Coalition for like TED Talks and even advice, or sometimes I come to them to help with the Unreal Engine. Like that, they come there because they are masters of it. They even, most of their games, they use modified versions of the Unreal Engine. So their future games are going to utilize the hardware to its full extent. Ninja Theory as well. So, Mikado. The game was also already well into production for multi-console, probably. Redfall? Here's the thing. When I hear this, I probably have a really different perspective than most people when people celebrate games coming to one console. You always see like the Final Fantasy director saying like we can use all the resources of the PlayStation 5 and it's good. It's next gen only, and I keep seeing people like praise stuff like that. I'm still in the belief it's all about the time that you have. Just because a game is coming just to the PS5, just to the Series X, doesn't mean that it's going to use all the resources and it's not possible on other consoles. Especially if the game is coming to PC, because when you make a game and it goes to a PC, you're already building multiple versions of that game, so that way it's able to run on multiple machines. So I understand the mentality, like, yes, if it's only on next gen, then you think you are getting the ultimate version of that, which in a way it's true, but that's not because it's not capable. It's just because that the developers could spend time just for that one game, right? But if you have time, you have the money and everything, it doesn't matter if that game goes to another console. Like the next gen thing, in my opinion, it's died out last generation. If it's x86 architecture, it's capable, and unless this is the only exception, right? Unless the game is really like the features of the game really relies on like a high GPU CPU count, which I've only seen with one game, which is the Medium. That, makes sense that it could only run on a higher end machine, etc., etc. But for most games, it's scalable. It can run on a lot of other machines. It depends on how much development resources they have. How much time do they have to make it on multiple machines? If they have to split the teams up, and then the main team has to work on the Xbox One version, PS4 version, then yeah, obviously they probably won't take as much time to do the next gen consoles. like the Series X and PS5. But it's just all about time. It has nothing to do with if you make a game just for the PS5. That doesn't mean it's not possible in the PS4. Like, how many times have we seen them like, this is next gen only, and then the performance of the game is trash? You know, like Gotham Knights, for example. Gotham Knights came out. It said, "Hey, we're next gen only." That game can't even run 60 frames per second, and it was super buggy on launch. So it's all about that. That's where people need to really think about that, because don't get it twisted. You have like people like Reforge saying like, "Oh, the Series S is holding back gaming," without actually having a constructive thought into like why he thinks that way. When as long as you release a game on a PC, that means you're building already multiple versions of that game in some capacity, if you are optimizing the game properly. Yeah. So my opinions on it is like it's always possible to make multiple versions of a game and still take advantage of next gen tech. Mikado says, "What's your opinion on DX12? I see so many people knock it, but I know nothing about it." It's cool. It has a lot of cool features in DX12. I think it's going to be impressive. I think the time for talk is over, though. I think a lot of people just needs to see a lot of these features, which comes through time. But the sad part is, people are just saying like, I don't see ray tracing, I don't see all these next features. PlayStation and other third-party developers are less incentivized to use a lot of next-gen features because it's only in the Series X. So it has to be Xbox first-party pushing the technology, pushing all this new next technology stuff. So you really won't see a lot of these features unless it's first party, or unless Microsoft really makes a deal with that person, like, hey, here's money, use the features. They're less inclined to use a lot of next gen features on the Xbox because it's not the more popular platform. It is what it is. You won't see a lot of features as long as PlayStation, as long as they develop for the PlayStation first. A lot of developers choose to develop for the PlayStation first, then Xbox second. What that does is it changes the development pipeline completely. Like you're not gonna take advantage of a lot of Xbox features when you develop for the PlayStation first. So in terms of what you're saying about DX12, you won't really see much of a difference until first party pushes it. Kato says, ray tracing I assume would be problematic without an NVIDIA card. A little harder to do. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. PlayStation is doing a really good job at ray tracing right now with Spider-Man. Ray tracing in that is still one of the best implementations I've seen on consoles. Big Mad Mo says, do you think the Series S is a problem if the features are used? No. Well, it depends on which feature you're talking about, because a lot of the next gen features are made to optimize and make it easier for developers. This is funny, because people are choosing not to use it. But a lot of the features are basically optimization type stuff. So making it so textures are more compressed, making it so you can boost like frame rates and stuff like that. So that would actually help the Series S. Where it won't help the Series S is stuff like ray tracing. I feel like that will be harder to do in Series S, but then that's when you opt to maybe just not put it on there. As long as you are developing a game for PC, then you're building somewhat of a scalable experience. And that's what you will never hear someone like Reforge or these other PlayStation channels. They're saying the Series S is holding back consoles. What they can't admit is when you are making a game for a PC, it means you're automatically scaling it to some extent. So, and a lot of the minimum spec is lower than the Series S. So, you know, it's crazy. Whenever I hear the Series S is holding back gaming, it's just like, bro, it's not holding back anything. What it can do is it's resources, right? So when you're a developer, you have to figure out how to get certain features to work simultaneously on the Series X and S, but it's not that it's not possible. It's how much time and resources you have, knowing that PlayStation is their priority in a lot of cases. AJH says, does games like Redfall have FSR on console? I don't know about Redfall, but I do know Deathloop had it. Deathloop, I think, was one of the first games to have it. Or some version of, like, FSR. Not a lot of games have it yet, but some games are starting to have it. I know Deathloop was, like, one of the first examples of it, and then I think one other game was using it. I can't remember. Big Man Mo, don't really care about ray tracing. Most folks don't want to hear that. Yeah. Well, if you're talking about ray tracing, yeah. Not a lot of people care about ray tracing. But they don't care. I feel like a lot of people don't care about ray tracing is because how much it impacts performance. If it didn't impact performance at all, people are like, oh, yeah, sure. You know? Because I think ray tracing can be very impactful. And ray tracing isn't just... I think when people think about ray tracing, they just think about it as reflections. But that's not 100% what ray tracing does. Is reflections is a big part of it, but how it handles light is another part of it. Like it can completely change a scene. And dominate like ambient occlusion and stuff like that. It can do quite a bit to let's say you're in a jungle. A jungle is actually a good example. When you light a jungle right now, you have to do in Unreal Engine. You put HDRI lighting. So it's HDRI lighting is like a globe, right? And you take the globe and use it as a source of your light. So just think about like the sky. The sky is actually lighting the scene according to the picture. Then you have all these little other lights in there. You have like spotlights and directional lights and stuff like that. But when you have ray tracing on top of that and you have like a forest, it can like accurately have like if you have like trees like swaying in the wind. You do like fake shadows right now. You can do baked shadows, but ray tracing can like go in areas where engines have a hard time of lighting and really, really accurately do that forest essentially. But right now it uses a ton of resources, and so I get what you're saying, Babe Matt Mo. Like you don't really care about ray tracing. I don't either, to the extent that it impacts my 60. I always want 60 frames regardless. You could have a ray tracing, but make it a separate mode. Spider-Man did a really good job. Again, Spider-Man, I'm going to give props to Insomniac. They are the only developers I know that have optimized the heck out of their games to the point where it's like magic. They are incredible at optimizing their games. I know Forza has some ray tracing to some extent. The new Forza will have ray tracing on as you're driving and things like that. So look out for that. AJH says maybe they are waiting for FSR 3 as to brutally. Honestly, FSR isn't great. Yeah. My problem with modern day development right now, I feel like a lot of games are brute forcing their way onto consoles rather than optimize it how they have in the past. Like, oh, we have all this extra power, let's just not optimize our game and push it to consoles, and hopefully the experience will be good, because we got all this power now. So it's doing the opposite effect, where you're supposed to be getting higher frame rates, higher optimization, but developers are like, oh, we got all this power now, we don't have to optimize this area, let's just push it through. So what you're getting now is games that pretty much perform how they did in the last generation, which is like, what was the point of getting a new console if they run exactly the same? It's it kind of sucks. Back from Death says if Diablo 4 can run on GTX 660 or AMD Radeon R9 280, pretty sure Series S will be fine. Exactly. But you will never hear that from some of these people, because their message is Series S is a potato. It is holding back gaming, and I could give you a million reasons why it's not. You're still gonna think that way, and I can't help that. I can't help those people. But I do understand the mentality, right? But as long as you are developing for a PC, then at that point it's resources. If you're struggling in Series S, it's resources, how much time you put into it. It's not that it's not capable, but your minimum spec is usually lower than the Series S. So it's all about this time, how much time they got. Let's see. I did notice something for Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna bring it up. Where are you? Where's my... I'll add a new one. Okay. This is a new picture from Mortal Kombat. Really looking forward to this game. I think, again, we were kind of talking about it earlier. I think the new Mortal Kombat is going to be awesome. I love fighting games. I love Mortal Kombat. Something I noticed, though, I don't hear people talking about, is the fact that it uses metahuman. So you guys seen the tech demo with Hellblade, and how they used Senua's performance onto the actors. I didn't see a single article mentioning this, but I noticed it. I don't know. It was really clear to me that it was using metahuman, and I kind of want to show you guys what metahuman looks like. Give me a second. Let me refresh my... I'm actually going to show you guys metahuman, as long as it's not freaking out. Yeah, it uses, like, when I was watching the trailer, I was just like, huh, it's interesting that they decide to go that route. But shoot, it is not working. I'll wait till it loads. But yeah, when I was watching the trailer, I just, the look on their faces, like, I use metahuman, so maybe that's why I noticed it. But let's pull up the trailer so you guys can see it. So here's the trailer.
That I have painted in with warmth and peace. In my new...
Maybe it should be. I don't know if they're gonna copyright strike me. But the faces look great, right? They look super realistic. It's a different art style than what it was in the previous game, obviously. And it's called Mortal Kombat 1, so it leads me to believe it's a reboot, or Mortal Kombat always deals with time, so maybe just time is resetting, etc., etc. We got some of the awesome main characters in here, but just from like looking at the faces, when I first saw this shot, I was like, dang, that is definitely metahuman. There's a point that possibly shows gameplay near the end. Oh yeah. Let me pull that up. Let me pull this back up. Yeah, I think right here. Yeah, this could be. Oh my gosh, brutal. But yeah, just looking at the faces, I was like, bruh, that's definitely metahuman. And of course, my metahuman's like crashing right now, so I can't show you guys yet. Try one more time. Okay. Believe it or not, metahuman uses the cloud. Talking about all this cloud talk. So it's setting up my session right now. So this is metahuman. I want to show you guys this so you can kind of see the faces and kind of see what I'm talking about. But a lot of studios are starting to use this. So it's metahumans. It's what I'm liking about it is the updates they keep making to it, and how now with metahuman animate, which is not out yet, but it's what they showed on the Unreal stage with Senua. But look, I started to make Jasper. That doesn't really look like him yet, but I was trying to make Jasper. He doesn't have the glasses or anything. But these are different faces I started making. This is supposed to be Mav. You guys could tell me if it looks like him. Just picture it with a hat and everything. It's gonna take a while to load. This is supposed to be Mav, but I think it looks kind of close, right? It's something. He has blonde hair though. I don't know why he has blonde hair. Let's actually change that. So what you could do in metahuman, it's really cool. What you could do is you can scan your face, and in a program you can clean it up and you can bring it into metahuman. But this is my version of Mav. You can kind of see it kind of looks like the Mortal Kombat trailer, right? You got some different expressions. You can change. Let's go to the mustache. I think Mav has this sort of goatee thing, right? So let's just say I like it. I think he is. Does Mav have like brown? He's like brown hair, right? Let's do that. So it's like a brown, and then do the color of this one. Or does Mav have like blonde hair? Is he a blondie? It's weird. I literally have visited Mav in person and everything, but I can't remember what Mav looks like if I don't see it right in front of me. Let's just say it's kind of blondish, and there we go. Then you can like do the body type, you can do the blend, you can do the eyes, the teeth, etc., etc. And then you could blend it. Like let's say you make like 3 different people, then you can like blend the other ones, which is pretty cool. Now Jasper, I know I did like 5 seconds with Jasper, so it doesn't look like Jasper yet. But this is pretty much what they're using to build out all the Mortal Kombat characters, because what it's good for, it's pretty good for facial expressions and stuff. And you can customize it. Now this looks nothing. I know Mav is pretty close. I know Jasper. This looks nothing like Jasper. That's because I worked on it like for 5 seconds before the show, and it looks blurry because it actually works through the cloud. So I'm working on it through a website. With Jasper, the texture, I can like increase how old Jasper looks, or give him some makeup and stuff, so you can like make it look more serious, make it so it's old. Give more texture to him. I've never actually met Jasper in person. I think Jasper has like blue eyes. Or is it brown? No, he has brown. Yeah, he has brown eyes. But you can like change their hair. Give Jasper some cornrows. And mess with it. Actually, Jasper always wears a hat, so I don't know what his hair looks like, but I'm pretty sure this is Jasper. Right? It's pretty close. But and I think his eyebrows are pretty good. I think that's pretty good. But what you could also do is you can is it here? Sculpt. Oh, here it is. So what you can do is you can scan a face. You can drop it in here, drop it in MetaHuman, and then you can make sure it's really accurate to the picture. And then let's say it's not super accurate, you can go ahead and like actually sculpt out pieces of the face using their sculpting tool. So you can make parts go in or out. I think Jasper's a little bit more sinking in. You can like change how high the nose is and stuff like that. I think you can make it a little smaller. Can make the eyebrows a little higher, etc., etc. Right? So I just wanted to show you guys this, just because I'm pretty sure that's what they use for Mortal Kombat. And I want to show you guys per stream like one small like game development thing, as I'm a developer, so I might as well show you guys. And I don't think you guys will necessarily always see the behind the scenes for like animation or game design stuff on a stream. So I was like, why not? I'm gonna start doing that in my streams. But everybody, thank you all for coming on the stream. A lot of awesome topics. AGH, Decado, appreciate y'all. I may make AGH. I'll make you a mod. Make you a mod. There you go. AGH, there's your mod. Decado, I'm gonna give you a mod too. Decado, appreciate you guys for dropping by this stream. Love y'all. You guys are amazing. I'm gonna be on Xbox Ultimate right after this, so it'll be at 10 or something. Caitlin, of course, dropped by. Thank you for dropping in. I'm trying to do the shows every Wednesday. I think Poison, he kept me accountable, so appreciate that. I'm trying to do the show every Wednesday after work, so around 6 to 7. But yeah, you said back from the dead. Does that program have pre-made assets, or is everything created? I will answer your question before I go. Where Okay. Most of this is kind of pre-made. Just think about when you're playing a game, it's like a character creator essentially. You have like a base face you can make. So when you first started out, it'll be a menu, kind of like it's gonna be kind of slow. It'll be a menu like this. You get different faces, and then you can choose a face, and then you can just keep modifying it. So here's some faces it comes with. But don't get that wrong. You can actually ooh, who's this guy? He looks pretty cool. You can actually scan a face. That's what I was saying before. And that's what they're doing with Hellblade. So Hellblade is using MetaHuman now, but what they're doing is they scan the actor's face, they drop it in MetaHuman, and you can do that as well. So you can do custom faces as well, but you can also just not and just do everything in here. I think Mortal Kombat probably did some custom faces, brought it into MetaHuman, and did it from there. I'm pretty sure that's what they did. But a lot of these faces are pretty cool to start with. Like if I wanted to start this and make it a character, I could. But pretty cool. This stuff is free, by the way, guys. Everyone who wants to jump into like game development and stuff like that, that stuff is free. But appreciate you guys for dropping on by. insanecakes, let's hang out later. Let's talk. Been busy. It's good seeing you though, man. Love everybody. I'll see you guys on Xbox Ultimate on Fun Speculation. It's at 9 or 10. I always get the time wrong, so just check out Mav, and you guys will see it there. Appreciate y'all.